back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy, gentlemen. Ooh, tapping, snapping, and tapping.
Hello, everyone.
Look at that.
It's Wednesday, all right.
It's your turn. No, okay. Yeah, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday already.
What are we doing, jazz hands?
I guess we're doing
clapping, one hand clapping.
That works. All right.
What is that? Wasn't that the was it the old Odd Couple? What is the sound of one hand clap? If not for the stones in my hand, then I could show you.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I believe you're right.
There you go.
I believe
not
right.
Show from
in an attempt to win over a younger audience.
We're going all the way back to the 60s with the Odd Couple.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Remember that time that they had a misunderstanding about something?
Yeah, remember that? Yeah, remember that time in Three's Company when they had a misunderstanding about something?
Yes, well, they stole that from
Three's Company. It's a great show to watch with the sound off.
So there you go. In any event, so how are you today?
Boy, how about football? The football show's back, folks.
The football show is back. We had no choice but to broadcast a lot of football, and
a quarter of a dozen things to talk about.
And amidst all of the wonderful quarterback changes, the news of the Giants just makes me hate them so fucking much.
Oh, that's a great move.
Well, we'll get to that in 2 seconds.
I think it's a great move.
Let's start it off with just a couple things. The annoying elephant in the room, and that's this bullshit with the damn lockout continuing.
Well, I'm right on track to win the bet.
17-hour marathon of negotiations yesterday, and still nothing. Another week of games are out. Manfred put the kibosh on another week of games. So the earliest the season will start now is April 14th. That's the earliest the season will start.
Sweet, another 2 weeks and I win.
They can only do another week for me to win. They go beyond another week, it's Pete, and if they go beyond that, it's Hello Harry. So,
well, what I'm hearing is sentiment
pessimism will win this one.
Sentiment is turning against, well, not sentiment, but the fans are turning against the players now, feeling like they are greedy. They feel like the owners have offered up a lot, very close to what some of the players wanted as far as cap money and that sort of thing. And the players seem like they're trying to get back everything that they've given up
from what I heard.
Couple of contract negotiations.
Right. Well, from what I heard, where it's a sly move, and I'm just repeating what I've heard from a couple of the pundits out there, if you will. The sly move on the owner's part and the league part. Where they are at right now is honestly where they should have started.
Yeah, we still got a month before this.
So, well, my point is, so if everybody's getting pissed off at the players, they should actually over a month ago, if not more, the owners should have been there.
Well, we should be mad at all of them.
Every single one of them.
Should be mad at all of the owners and all of the players.
Sure.
But it's what have you done? Who gets the headline last?
Right.
And of course, the mindset gets shaped by the mainstream media,
right?
And oh yeah, man, it looks like those players are getting greedy.
Exactly,
which they already were.
Let me ask you both a question. Yeah, well, they're all greedy.
Now they're getting greedy.
Now they're getting greedier.
The good news is it's so cheap for an everyday worker to just take his family to a ballpark. It's just like the old days. Actually, I will say this. Out here, you could go to a game for $6. So
you can go to a game at Citi Field, to a Mets game for cheap. Yankees games a little bit more. Parking is not. I mean,
or buy any food.
Well, that's the thing. It's the beer and the food inside and everything else. But
I walk or take the late route.
Yeah, but no, at the parking's $25 or $30 at Citi Field. So I mean, you go with another 4 or 6 of you, and then whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But if it's a family, it's $30. But you can get cheap tickets. Citi Field only fills up is sold out 3 times a year.
You have to get to Queens.
3 times. Well, yeah, that's true. But 3 times a year. Opening day.
Yankees.
And the 2 Yankee games.
Yeah.
Those are the only time that Citi Field is ever sold out.
Well, it tells you a lot about your beloved Mets.
Well, I mean, hopefully that'll change, right? But
I will say this: over the last, I would say 4 years, not a lot of sellouts in baseball stadiums
everywhere.
At all.
Yeah,
even if they say they're sold out, how many times do you watch a Yankee game, and even in the first, the so-called luxury seats behind home plate or down, empty seats all the time.
Yep.
Never would have seen that 10 years ago. Never.
But what you call? Let me ask you both the question here.
All right. Is this the quiz or no?
No. Which is the bigger problem? Owners versus players, or owners versus owners? Because you got owners versus players. That's obvious. That's the obvious one, right? But then you got owners versus owners, which means the big market teams versus the small market teams that can't meet in the middle to take care of the players, so forth and so on. Which is the bigger problem right here?
Owners versus owners is decided by majority rule ultimately, right?
Yeah.
They don't all have to agree. It's just the majority of them have to agree, right?
I suppose they have to have a certain percentage. I don't think it's just like 51% kind of thing.
Right. But it's not 100%.
It's not 100%, but if that's the case, there are a lot of small markets. It's not like there's 2 small market teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily small market owners in some of these small market teams.
This is true too.
So
yeah, I mean, one of the smallest market teams are the Padres, and they seem to be doing just fine.
Well, and does baseball even designate what the definition of a small market versus big market team?
Well, I think the smallest small market team is the Royals, right? It's got to be.
Well, no, but I'm saying how is that decided?
I mean, we talk about attendance by attendance.
I don't know.
Revenue.
What is the official point where a team is either on this side,
or is it money spent?
Or that? I don't know.
Probably a mixture of both.
Is there one?
I mean, how about Oakland?
Is there even one? Does Major League Baseball have an official definition of a big market or a small market team?
Well, let's see.
So, overall, I would probably say owners versus players.
Yeah, I think it's owners versus players.
Because you got to get a lot more people to agree.
You called San Diego a small market team. They had the 3rd largest attendance last year in the major leagues, with the Dodgers and Atlanta being 1 and 2. So they averaged over 27,000 people a game. St. Louis, Texas, Houston, Colorado, which is maybe the quintessential small market team, had the 7th highest average attendance or total attendance.
Right.
Ahead of the Yankees. This is what I'm talking about. The Rockies had more people in the seats last year by a slim margin than the Yankees.
But probably a lot of that has to do with ticket prices and expectations too, right?
So what are the 3 biggest cities in the United States?
New York, L.A., and Chicago.
Right. So L.A. Dodgers were number 1, with San Diego being number 3, which I'm going to lump in a little bit with the L.A., Southern California area. Right. And, and then you had the Yankees 8th and the Cubs 9th. You throw in the Angels in San Francisco, and it's California is certainly leading the way.
Here's the population, maybe.
Yeah, Texas. I mean, Texas is a Dallas team, right? Let's agree on that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And Houston is obviously a Houston team. 5 and 6. That's over 4 million people last year. That's more than the Yankees and Mets had. It's more than the Dodgers and the Angels had.
Yeah, 4 million used to be that was 4,000 passing yards. That was a big number, right?
Yeah.
4 million in a year. I remember the Mets. We got to 4 million, right? Maybe the first or second year or something. They had went to Citi Field or something like that. It was maybe it was longer ago. It was longer ago than that, but I remember that being a thing. That was
Mike Piazza got $91 million for 7 years in '98.
Oakland averaged 8,767 people per game, just ahead of the Marlins. Toronto, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. So all of these old sort of East Coast teams. Pittsburgh, obviously a small market team. Is Arizona, being in Phoenix, a small market team? I would say no. But they're their attendance is down. Yeah. So it's
well, here's the rankings, the generic rankings by it doesn't even I even look to find what constituted these rankings, but it's just the generic rankings of each major league team. We'll start with number 1 being the Yankees.
What do you mean by generic rankings?
Well, like where they fall into amongst the other teams, not by payroll last year, just overall over the years, like total.
Oh, okay.
Total.
Bigness?
Not right. Yeah, right. Over the years, not just like last year's payroll or anything like that. Total stats. Yankees are 1. Red Sox are 2. Phillies are 3. Mets are 4. Angels are 5. Cubs are 6. Dodgers are 7. Rangers are 8. The Nationals are 9. The White Sox are 10. Braves are 11. Tigers are 12. Blue Jays 13. The Giants 14. That shocked me, that one. Astros 15. Marlins 16. Diamondbacks 17. Twins 18. Cardinals 19. That's a little shocking. Rockies 20.
So on and so forth.
And then the rest of them.
Yeah, well, so you got to give Atlanta props. I mean, look, Boston, as far as attendance, number 11. Mm-hmm. Below Milwaukee, Chicago, the Yankees. I still can't believe the Rockies had more people go to home games last year than the Yankees, and they played 2 less home games.
Right. Now, do you think that's a lot of out of towners following their team or just in vacation?
Well, I think that people underestimate how, compared to its relative size, how big of a sports town Denver is.
Oh, Denver's a huge sports town.
And yes, there's a lot of New Yorkers and Dodgers fans and Cubs fans and everything else. I will tell you this as well, and I don't mean this to sound. I think this is an obvious statement.
Right.
I think baseball is becoming much more of a Latin-based sport. And the cities that are on this list, for the most part, have a very high either Mexican or Hispanic American population. And those are the teams that are starting to have way more representation consistently in attendance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it has been for quite some time, but
right.
I mean, and that's fine. It's all well and good, but I do think that you hit that one. That's funny that the Rockies have more attendance than the Yankees. Although there were still some restrictions in New York that might not have been, if you're talking about last year's numbers, that might not have been going on in Denver.
Yeah, I don't think last year was impacted too much by restrictions.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, the only other thing I got on baseball is if they don't get something done within the next week and they have to push it out another week, Jackie Robinson Day is April 15th. So there will be no Jackie Robinson Day this year.
No, they can postpone it and have it another time.
Well, it's his birthday, or the day he
I
started,
understand
or whatever it was. The day started. It is the day. I mean,
they're not going to be playing. They're not going to be
but
playing by April 15th. Telling you,
well, if they got to get something done the next week, they can.
They won't.
And then here's the thing. Last week, really quick. Last week they blew off two. Blew off two series, so it was going to start April 7th, right? Then Manfred comes out and says, we got to get a deal done this week if we want to play 162 games. Didn't he already cancel 2 series?
Well,
How are you going to play 162 games if 7 of them are gone already?
They could be made up.
Doubleheaders. Like 5-inning doubleheaders with
or maybe
on third.
When the teams play another series against that team,
throw the game in, or
Well, they were they were talking about that with the Yankees because
does anybody really care?
The Yankees series, the games that got canceled already, well before today, were Texas and Houston, and it was the only time they were playing those teams. So those doubleheaders would have, if they were going to get those games were going to get made up, they were most likely going to be made up during that,
time frame.
Right.
Right.
They would have to. I mean, they would have to be like made up when those teams met.
Right.
Right. So
look, there's incentive for both sides to get this thing done.
And it's affecting some of the players, too, that, I mean, whether they're involved or not or whatever you want to call it. But like Pete Alonso, for instance, Pete Alonso, if he doesn't start If he doesn't start playing before, I don't know what the date is, May 1st, call it something like that, his service time, he'll actually get extended another year on his contract or arbitration year or something like that. So he'll be a year further away from money. He's losing millions of dollars. Like, so whatever. I'm just making a point. So, let's go back to paying him. Let's go back to paying him $1.98 and tell him to get a part-time job when they're not playing.
20-year-old billionaires standing in the grass.
But that's incentive for the owners to not. I mean, he's not the only person in that situation.
No. Sure.
Right?
If you look at it, if you look at it,
an entire generation, so to speak, of players who were in.
If you look at it that way, the further along these owners push it off, the less money they have to spend. I mean, he's got a finite number of years, right? No matter what. It's not like he's going to play an extra year past when he would have retired,
right?
So.
But ironically, that's one of the things that the players were bitching about is the manipulation of service time. Right. So
exactly.
Here
they're globally manipulating everybody by doing this. Yeah.
If it means sacrificing a couple weeks of the season so that we don't have to go through this again in the near future, I'm okay with that. Get it worked out. Get what you want. Come to an agreement. Compromise. This is something that we've lost the ability to do in this fucking country, is compromise on anything. Come to an agreement.
That's not true.
Come to an agreement.
I agree with you, but here's the thing. They should have been doing this. The lockout started December 1st. Why did they wait till the end of January to start meeting?
Right, because they don't give a shit. Here's the other thing, is that for many of these teams, including the team that I can have access to seeing during the summer, the highlight of the year is opening day. If opening day is postponed, it's still going to be opening day. You just might have to compromise some of you might have to shuffle the schedule a little bit. Right. If it gets deeper into this, they may have to relook at some of the scheduling. I'm okay like I said, I want this to be something where we're not going through this again in 2 years.
Right.
Come to an agreement, make it work, but work at it. Sit down and work at it.
Yep.
But it's not. I don't think there's any incentive to really compromise. It's each side wants to win. I mean, that's really a trademark of.
Nobody makes any money if you don't play baseball.
Exactly.
Well, that's true, but
and I would think that the owners and the players, primarily the owners, would be motivated to get this done, especially coming off a couple of years where their income was severely.
Exactly. You would think that would be the case, but all right. Let's wrap up baseball.
Done.
And let's talk about football for a minute, because we haven't done that in a few weeks. And today we kind of have no choice, because there's a lot of shit on the paper. I don't have a lot to dive into, but just to discuss a little bit. First of all, let's talk about the Giants, because you brought that up. Mitchell Trubisky is rumored to be interested. The Giants interested in bringing Trubisky in from Buffalo to New York. To whether he's competing with Daniel Jones or he's there to back him up and push him a little bit and whatever, I don't know. Clearly, look, here's the bottom line. Here's the way I look at this, and then I want your opinion. Here's the way I look at it. They needed a backup quarterback, right? Because obviously the Mike Glennon last year was pretty much a joke. All right, I mean, one of the three of us could have gone out and pretty much done the same thing he did.
He had one good game, right?
Yeah, he won one good half, I think, in one good game.
Yeah.
But in any event, Trubisky, as disappointing, we'll call it that, as disappointing of a quarterback, of a choice by the Bears and everything else as a quarterback coming out of college that he's been, he's still better, I think, than Mike Glennon. All right, I mean, markedly. So if he's just a backup quarterback, it is what it is, right?
Well, but my point is this. Is that amongst all of these big name quarterbacks movements and things like that, the Giants are gonna come out and say we're interested in Daniel Trubisky and he's gonna compete for the starting job. So that tells me that they really think that Daniel Jones and Trubisky competing for the starting job, that's what the headline of the Giants is.
today.
I think me and Pete wrestling over the last Twinkie is more exciting.
I agree 100% with that. We're going to televise that live
Here's
too.
my point to the Giants. You can't have it both ways.
But here's the thing.
Now let me finish. You cannot stop sucking Daniel Jones's cock and saying how we're committed to him, and then say, well, I think maybe Daniel Trubinsky might be a good one to battle for the starting job.
Mitchell Trubisky,
whatever. That doesn't matter because they both suck.
Called them like 4 different names.
They both suck.
Here's the thing, and I'm not a big Jimmy G fan, but Jimmy G needs a team.
And the Giants can't afford the three of us to go to the team right now. They're $40 million over the cap.
Well, then play without a quarterback.
Riesenwasser.
It's just it frustrates me.
Rosengorder.
To no end how all of these other teams are making these moves at quarterback, and the Giants. The big thing is that Mitchell Trubinsky might be a Giant.
They didn't have a guy sitting in the office as GM selling away the next 5 years of the team to put him in cap hell. That's what those other teams didn't have, right?
Well, the Giants have all of these so-called draft.
Sure, but there's no quarterbacks in this draft. It's not last year or the year before. They should be able to
use that. They should be able to do exactly what the Broncos did and use that as part of trade. It's just.
I agree with you, but they also need to, build an offensive line that's been non-existent for the last 10 years.
I mean, yes, they need to do that. So did the Bengals. So did the Seattle. So did the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, but you know what? Joe Burrow is not out there, and Russell Wilson wasn't coming in.
Russell Wilson went to the Broncos with one of the worst offensive lines in football.
But the Broncos are actually. Let's put it this way. Well, all right, fine. Let's get off of the Giants for a minute. You're bringing that up, okay? Actually, let's finish the Giants.
Yeah,
I don't.
The Giants are finished. They finished themselves.
Yeah, I don't.
My point in all of this is just ridiculous. How sad are the Giants?
I agree with your point where, in one breath, they're saying Daniel Jones is the guy, we're going with him, and then they're saying they're bringing in Mitchell Trubisky, and he's going to compete for the starting job. Look, he's not getting it. It's a lie. It's a lie. That was fodder for Daniel Jones to kick him in the ass and do better, is what that was.
Yeah,
there's no way that Mitchell Trubisky.
They're not bringing him in to compete.
But it's sort of like who is maybe the only quarterback available that's worse than Daniel Jones that can compete with him.
I could think of a few others too, but
he's not. Trubisky's way up on that list,
right? But no one besides Daniel Jones is going to play unless Daniel Jones gets hurt,
right?
And then they cannot bring in Mike Glennon.
I'd rather see Mike Glennon and just lose a few more games than see Mitchell Trubisky come in.
But, there's no chance that Trubisky's going to get the starting job.
What if he plays better? What if he proves himself to be a better quarterback than Daniel Jones?
Well, look at it this way. The Bears thought that he was better than Patrick Mahomes because they took him before
I understand
Patrick Mahomes
all that. We all make mistakes.
Yeah. So
the Bears don't have a big. The Bears don't have a very.
The Jets also thought that Ken O'Brien was better than Dan Marino, but that's another story in itself.
The Bears maybe have a worse history of drafting quarterbacks than the Giants.
Right.
Yeah. When your best team had what's his name, Mullet McGee as your quarterback, then come on.
I know.
But the other thing about this is, if you really think Daniel Jones is the guy, and
which this tells me nobody does.
Well, see, I think they do. Like, one of the things I think we seem to be missing now is when you had kind of the guy you thought was your franchise quarterback, there were a lot of teams that would bring in a nice veteran, right? To help him with some of the other aspects of the game. That wise veteran who's been around for a while, who's seen a lot, who knows a lot of the little things, who can help tutor the young kid with the cannon for an arm.
They had that.
50-cent arm and 5-cent head. Trubisky's not that guy.
No, he's not.
He's
in the league 2 years longer than Daniel Jones,
right.
and honestly, he's not as good.
Purpose
of being here is to be a better backup than Mike Glennon.
Let me back up. Let me set the table. I didn't set the table. Okay, Mitchell Trubisky was with what's his fucks in Buffalo for the last year, right?
Right.
The Giants. Okay.
What's his fucks? Right.
Yeah. Brian Dable.
Yes.
I know that what this means is that he is not happy about coming into this with Daniel Jones as a starting quarterback. And he realizes they can't really go after any of these other big name free agents. And in his mind, I know he thinks, I have a better chance with Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback than I do with Daniel Jones. That, ladies and gentlemen, sums up the New York Giants.
Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't think that was a move. And first of all, I don't think it's a move to actually have him compete. And look, any quarterback you bring in is technically going to compete, because you bring in any quarterback, they go out on the practice field.
It's not like they don't get any snaps.
It's not like they don't get snaps or whatever. If all of a sudden one's killing it and the other one's not, he's the starting quarterback.
Was it not a press release from the Giants, or the news report said that they were interested in him to compete?
Yes,
for the starting.
And it was just that
job.
it was reported. I didn't hear Brian Dable say it. I didn't hear John Mara say it. I didn't hear Joe Shane say it. I heard reporters say it. So until I actually hear them say it and actually see it happening, I don't believe it. I just think he's I just think he's a better backup quarterback than Mike Glennon. I think that's all this amounts to, and they can get him on the cheap.
Now, I'll say this, Harry. If you're right, and you might be, okay, then that's Brian Dable's assessment, and he's your head coach. And if you think that he's completely wrong about that, which I think is a pretty reasonable position,
right.
Maybe they're equally, both of them equally suckage. But if that's a move that he decided to make because he thinks Trubisky's better and he really isn't, then that's not getting off on a great
My point to all of this.
I mean, if he really thinks that, he's the head coach.
I kind of agree with them, and that's like saying I really would rather have herpes than AIDS or whatever the case might be. You know, syphilis.
Hey, go with syphilis.
Yeah. Syphilis. My point being is that the Giants have put themselves in such a bad position that there are quarterbacks that are available, and the Giants are not even in the discussion for any of this. And I would rather
they don't have.
To me, that indicates that he's not coming here to really compete.
You cannot win without a good quarterback. So if the Giants don't realize that and don't make room to afford a quarterback, then the Giants are done. And I don't know. You know, we probably have 2 more years of Daniel Jones.
Look,
they better start clearing out some room.
I think this is steps here. I don't think by any means, honestly, and you know me, I'm like the first one to say to go all in with it, right? I don't think by any means any of them have any intention of, even winning the NFC East this year, let alone going further than that. So that being the case, this year is not the look. They need other pieces. They're going to need to drop James Bradbury. They're going to need to drop a bunch of salary in order to get back under the cap. And they're going to be down. They're going to need to replace those pieces. And they're going to replace them with cheaper pieces, obviously, but they still need to do it. And they're going to need to build a little bit through the draft as well with those picks that they have. They're going to need offensive linemen. They're going to need an edge rusher. They're going to need cornerbacks, so forth and so on.
Sure.
This is not the year to get rid of all of that capital when you need all of those pieces just to get somebody to come here in his later years that's ready to win right now with a team that's not. So,
but other teams that are not ready to win right now, or at least win, or who are in the same boat as the Giants, are still saying, you know what? I asked the really beautiful woman who I'm in love with to the dance. She said, fuck you. There's no way I'm going out with you. I asked the next one. So, Carson Wentz said yes, so I'm going to get him. Jimmy G said maybe, so I'm going to wait. The Giants are going straight to Mitchell Trubisky.
Okay,
that's my point.
Who knows how much money Mitchell Trubisky made last year?
Probably way more than we wanted to.
I do, because I just looked it up.
Tell us, RadioPete.
He signed a 1-year deal with the Bills, obviously to be the backup.
He was after his
$2.5 million. That's it. Now he's a free agent.
That's $2.5 million.
So if he comes, maybe, but for
what's Daniel Jones making?
I don't know, but I'm saying
not much more.
He look, Trubisky sucks. No one else wants him probably. So the Giants are going to get him for cheap.
You're going to get a 2-year deal for $3 million.
I understand.
That's what they'll get.
My point was really more about the Giants should have just waited, 2 or 3 days to make this announcement. My point being is that amongst all of this, it's like everybody saying, I got straight A's on my report card. I won this. I did that. And you send out something saying, I wipe my own ass. It's just
year
sad, the state of the Giants. It's
2022?
Yeah.
Let's see. Daniel Jones, $965,000 base salary, 4.1 signing bonus, 3.2 roster bonus.
He's making about $8 million.
8.365.
There you go.
Total GTD. I don't know what that means.
So that's $6 million we could spend on an offensive lineman or two.
So he's making $8 million.
Guaranteed to date.
Guaranteed to date. Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway.
So $8 million for Daniel Jones.
I can't wait for Daniel Jones' contract to be his rookie contract to be up.
Well, his rookie contract's up this year. They got to extend him after this year.
And I can't wait for the Giants to extend him and then sign him to a long-term contract because they're the Giants. And I'm done with them.
All right.
I'm done with them. Done with them.
Well, if you're done with them,
no, he's got next year too.
No, he's got but they didn't extend him yet. He's got an option for the fifth. Next year's the fifth year.
What's the odds of them extending him?
Depends on what they do this year, who's available next year in the draft. They're probably going to extend him.
You want to guess how much that would cost him?
Well, this is the other thing, right?
Yes.
Hold on.
More than a Mitchell Trubisky.
This is another reason why they could be getting Mitchell Trubisky. All right, hear me out. Daniel Jones performs subpar this year, and they don't want to extend him. They're going to draft a quarterback in next year's draft in 2023. Okay, they don't want to throw him to the wolves with nobody there. Mr. Trubisky starts the season and at $1.5 million, and the kid comes in, whoever it is that they draft next year, or they trade for somebody. But the option's there. Now they don't have to pay Daniel Jones all this. What's the number, Pete? If they extend him,
$22 million.
Yeah. So yeah. If he's got to perform this year. If he blows everybody away and says, "Holy everybody," including Harry, is saying, "Holy shit, he is actually good." Which we know probably won't happen, but let's be hypothetical. If that does happen, then they spend the money on it because he actually at that point he's worth it. If he's not, they don't extend him. Off he goes on his merry way. They have Mitchell Trubisky for a buffer guy for a year, draft somebody or make a trade, whatever it is. Yeah, right, exactly. So it is what it is.
Really, any way you look at this, they're not really thinking unless Daniel Jones blossoms this year.
Right. That's the only thing.
It's not reasonable to think Trubisky's going to suddenly turn into a good quarterback.
No.
So we're really looking at a couple of years down the road before they have their quarterback.
Look, yeah, if Daniel Jones shocks the shit out of everybody, then there you go. If he doesn't, we're looking at 2024 before we have an unless they trade next year, unless they make a trade next year or something like that. But whatever. I mean, that remains to be seen. But the bottom line is, I think that's probably what they're looking at for Mitchell Trubisky at this point.
Looking to spend a couple of million.
Cheap quarterback, back him up, be there next year for a kid that they may draft next year if they don't re-sign Daniel Jones. And there you go.
Jones is going to have to be really, really good.
He's going to have to blow the hell off the doors of that team.
When is Joe Burrow coming off of his rookie contract?
3 years.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't think Cincinnati's going to let him go anywhere. But
they'll probably give him an extension.
Never know.
There you go.
All right. There's some other prima donnas who signed with some new teams.
Moving on to a team that you can actually watch locally there.
That's right.
Hence my garb for today. Russell Wilson to the Broncos. There you go. So Seattle traded Russell Wilson to the Broncos for Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, and the following picks: a 2022 first rounder, a 2023 first rounder, a 2022 second rounder, a 2022 fifth rounder, and a 2023 second rounder. So 3 players, 5 picks for one 34-year-old quarterback.
And by most accounts, the Broncos stole it.
Yeah, pretty much. But here's the thing.
Fant's a good player. Shelby Harris, good. Mm-hmm. The picks, okay. If the Giants did this, I'd be doing backflips.
A first rounder and a second rounder this year and next year, and then a fifth rounder this year as well.
Yeah.
So here's my question.
All to become the third best quarterback in their division.
Well, see, that's the thing. Look, whether
that's how important
whether it's too much or too little or just the right amount for Russell Wilson, and that can be debated.
Right.
The real question is, how close are the Broncos otherwise?
Well,
can they get close?
Funny you should say
giving
that.
up a lot of picks, right? Forget about the players. He can replace players. Neither one of them are, all-stars.
The Broncos have the same problems the Giants have. They have a horrible offensive line. They have a pretty good running game by committee. They're deep at running back, and they're good at it. They have some receivers that they spent a lot of money on that I think are good, similar to the Giants, that are not, I don't think, as good as what the money that they're getting, because they will
make them better in theory.
Exactly, and so would have Rodgers, because that's what they were kind of banking on. Here's my take: they have a coach now who I think did wonders for Aaron Rodgers. I think he'll do wonders for Russell Wilson, because Wilson sort of went from having to be a game manager and occasionally, throwing 15, 20, 25 times a game with a strong running game in his early years when the Seahawks
right.
were in the Super Bowl, to having to kind of be a guy who was exposing himself and having to throw long balls. I don't think he's going to have to do that anymore. I think this Broncos offense will put him in a position where he doesn't have to be dropping back and throwing bombs, because that worked for him early on last year, but they quickly went downhill. Now,
if the O-line is no good, he's not going to have time to drop back and throw.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that this offense much like I've been waiting for the Giants to adopt, this allows the offensive line to not have to block as long in pass plays as they would have otherwise in some other offenses.
But can you build a good offensive line without first and second round picks for the next couple of years? I know there's value later in the draft.
Well, they have to.
But you got to get it right. You got to bring in.
This idea of constantly drafting new players never really works. Okay. They need to improve. They don't need to be the best offensive line in football, but they need to improve. And I think they will. And I think a lot of that has to do with the coaching.
All has to do with the coaching. Let me put this to you. You talk about him being the third best quarterback in the AFC West now. All right. The Broncos were, before yesterday, plus 2,200 to win the Super Bowl next year.
He doubled their futures.
They're plus 1,200 now. Yep. Right now, they have the fifth best odds of any team in the NFL to win the Super Bowl. The Bills. This is according to who the hell knows, right? And the teams haven't even played yet, and half of the teams aren't together. So it's just right. But as far as that goes, to that note, all right, the Bills are the favorite at plus 650. The Chiefs are plus 700 right behind them. The Packers are plus 800 right behind them. The Rams are plus 1,000 to repeat. The Broncos are right behind them at plus 1,200. So there's only one team in the AFC West, according to the sportsbook pundits, that is better or has better odds to win the Super Bowl next year. And on that note, mind you, the 49ers are right behind them at plus 1,300. Yeah, and the Cowboys are behind them at plus 1,400. So
lack of respect for the Bengals, that's for sure.
No respect for the Bengals. None.
Anyway. A lot of respect for San Francisco, I guess.
Well, look.
But we don't even know who their quarterback's going to
be. Dallas has the seventh best odds to win the Super Bowl. They can't get past one playoff game.
Tampa Bay's out of the mix, right? Tampa Bay's out of the mix. So
the whole NFC South is out of the mix.
The NFC is weak, so that's why Aaron Rodgers decided to stay there, even though he hasn't signed anything.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, odds makers make their odds because they want people to bet their money and lose.
Right.
So, Russell Wilson gets traded. It makes a big splash. Yeah, the Broncos, Russell Wilson, Super Bowl.
Put some money down on it. Yeah.
1,200 to 1 now.
Do you really think the Broncos have I think
12 to 1. 1,200 is for $100. So it's 12 to 1 odds.
I think the Broncos and the Chargers are about the same.
1,200
same chances now of winning. But that's my point. Is that's how important a quarterback is in this league.
Right.
What do all of those teams have in common?
Quarterback.
They have a quarterback.
They have a great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and look at it this way: NFC West is a little lighter now too, obviously, because Russell Wilson's out of there. You're going to have.
What was Russell Wilson's stats last year?
You're going to have – bring them up. Jimmy, get on that now.
Jimmy.
You're going to have
go Google it yourself.
Honestly, I think you're going to have San Francisco back up just a little bit. I don't think they're going to be out of it by any means, but they're going to have Trey Lance, obviously, as their starting quarterback.
Is Jimmy G going to be there or no?
I don't think so.
I think he's going to Indiana.
Yeah, so we got there's a few things we'll go over. And he's going to Indiana if that's the case. I mean, it is a state that
Indianapolis.
Let's see. Russell Wilson, 259 for 400, 3,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions.
Russell Wilson is a borderline top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Rating 103.1. So he's still good.
So
didn't have a lot of yards.
He's a top.
He's still a better than serviceable quarterback.
He hovers between 10 and 12 as far as the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Fair enough. And there's a lot of good quarterbacks, so that's not saying a lot too. So.
No, it's not a criticism.
So, but in that case though,
and one of those isn't playing.
Right.
So,
however, the NFC East sucks, and the rest of the NFC North kind of sucks. So next year. Aaron Rodgers better get it right next year.
I mean, where are the Cardinals? Why did they drop off the face of the earth?
The Cardinals are still there. Kyler Murray's,
But I mean, in your odds,
I'll say this about Wilson, though. I mean, those are not bad numbers, but compared to previous years, they're not such great numbers.
No.
When he was throwing 40 and 30 touchdowns. And,
but before that, he wasn't doing any of that. His most successful years is when he was a Jimmy G type of quarterback, but better.
Yeah, compared to other quarterbacks, average quarterbacks now, he's better than average. He's a solid, good quarterback. Compared to himself right now, he's
fallen off a little.
Fallen off.
But that was only last year, so it could be sort of looked at as an anomaly. But it might be the beginning of the trip downhill because he's 34.
Well, how many Super Bowls did Tom Brady win after 34?
Well, Tom Brady is not – you can't compare everyone to Tom Brady. He's an anomaly.
He's a systems quarterback.
He's
Wilson
he's a product of Bill Belichick. That's all he is. So, all right.
No, I mean, I think Broncos Nation has reason to celebrate. I mean, it's not as big a
Broncos
splash.
Got a lot better. They got a lot better,
we'll
but they gotta do something to protect him.
There you go.
You know, because he is getting older and slower.
This is true.
And more fragile. So,
on that note. Seattle, apparently, everybody's speculating that DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are going to be available, because they're maybe cleaning house, so to speak. But apparently neither of them are available. They're not making either of them available. So I heard a few people the other day last night talking about the Jets maybe looking at DK Metcalf. That might have been not too shabby of a thing for.
I mean, Seattle's getting rid of some of their, much like the Giants should. Are getting rid of some of their older guys like Bobby Wagner.
DK Metcalf is 24 years old, so he doesn't include him in that. So.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
I don't think they're cleaning house. I don't think they're cleaning house. I ask, if I'm somebody like Jimmy G, I'd rather go to Seattle than go to Indianapolis. I think it fits him. Mm-hmm. Go there. I don't think Seattle should clear house. I don't think they're that far off.
I'd rather go to Indy if I'm Jimmy G.
I'd rather go to Indy.
I don't know.
Indy's a better team than Seattle.
They had one good year.
They have a decent team.
They still got a great running back.
They got a great running back, but how many years now are running backs great?
Yeah, but it was his second year.
Yeah, but you only need to be great for maybe one more.
Derrick Henry. Oh, he's invincible. He'll never get hurt.
Yeah, well.
But
look, and they have good weapons. They have a good offensive line. They have a really good defense. They have good tools at wide receiver. Carson Wentz was not the answer for that team.
No.
Jimmy G might be. But on that note, Indianapolis obviously traded Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders. They traded him for a 2022 third-round pick and a 2023 third-round pick. That's it. But the 2023 third-rounder becomes a second-rounder if Jimmy G is on the field for more than 70% of the snaps.
Carson Wentz, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is on the field for more than 70% of the snaps. No, it had nothing to do with Carson Wentz. They'll just give him
they don't care about what Carson does. It's all about what Jimmy G does.
That's
wherever he lands. Jimmy G's going to play in a D League.
It's like a parlay. It's like a parlay trade.
Three player parlay.
Becomes a second rounder if Carson Wentz, I don't know, doesn't get hurt for half the season.
Aaron Donald retires. understand.
And the Knicks sign now.
Julius Randle hits 4 3-pointers in the next game.
So,
listen,
anyway,
I think this is a good move for the Commanders.
It's a great move for the Commanders, and it's a great move for the Colts too. Obviously, Wentz wasn't the solution, and they got the Commanders to take on all of his salary. They are not responsible.
Why is it a good move for the
of
Commanders? Explain that to me.
Because they had no quarterback. What are they going to keep going?
So if the Giants made this move and signed Carson Wentz, would you be excited?
I wouldn't be excited. No, because the Giants are in cap hell. The Washington has money, and he's a better quarterback than what they have.
Avoiding the question.
All right, money out the window. Money out the window. Yeah, I actually think Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones.
Okay, so do I. That's my point. Yeah.
There you go. But
how did the Giants get in?
But the Giants didn't have $28 million to give Carson Wentz. Therefore,
I understand that.
Right, but I think Wentz has no guaranteed money after next season, right?
No.
So that's why I think this is a good deal. Because this is about potential. Because Heineke, he's not very good. He might get better, but he's not the answer.
Right.
Carson Wentz is probably not the answer. But
he's better than Heineke.
While it's been 5 years since he was an all-star, and if you look at his first half numbers last year, they weren't bad. They were pretty decent. Actually.
His numbers all around weren't that bad. He just look. I think this.
He fell apart late in the season,
which is kind of his MO.
I think this keeps Washington ahead of the Giants and has them competing with Philly for the second spot in the East.
Yeah.
Well, look, they get Wentz, right, and the potential that he has, which we know he has, right, for a year. If it works out,
they have a good defense. They have a good defense.
Yeah, if it works out, then they can kind of figure it out. After that, if it doesn't work out, they say goodbye. Thanks. You had a shot.
Does this make Washington the second best team in the NFC East?
At the moment, it does, except for something that I'm going to bring up in a couple minutes.
Okay.
If he plays well, it does. I
think you're right. I think you're right. I agree.
It's a kind of a no lose.
Washington
it's going to cost them money, but they're going to
for 1 year.
Right. And the potential for him to be better than Heineke is way up here.
Yep.
Right?
I agree.
And if it doesn't work out and he tanks or he gets hurt again, well, then you have Heineke and you're no worse off than you were last year.
I agree.
So now, I think it's a great move for them.
Washington was in on Russell Wilson. They were offering Seattle 3 years, 3 number 1 picks. The next 3 number 1 picks they were giving him.
He didn't want to go there.
He didn't want to go there. And then also they actually did swap second round picks this year too. So Washington had the 42nd pick in the second round, and Seattle had the 47th. So they moved up 5 spots there too. So not Washington, Indianapolis had they moved up 5 spots. So anyway, looks like the Colts are going to go after Jimmy Garoppolo, and they're talking about it. Everybody's chatting about it, but it hasn't happened just yet. Mentioned it to you the other day. Von Miller looks like he wants back in Denver. He's putting up on Instagram and Twitter a bunch of pictures of him in his Broncos uniforms, and he said he wants to. He's thinking he needs himself some more 52-80 time.
Well, yeah. So that means that his lawsuit's being dropped. What this tells me is Aaron Donald's retiring.
You think?
Yeah, because if not, why wouldn't you stay there? Because Von Miller became a very good player again when he's being able to be on the field with Aaron Donald.
Right.
I'm not suggesting Von Miller's not a good player. He still is, but he's nowhere near what he was 10 years ago.
No, of course not.
I think he had the luxury of playing with Donald, and they made a really great 1-2 team. Or it just tells me that the Rams are not interested in signing him.
I think the Rams are, and that could very well have a lot to do with Aaron, with Donald retiring as well. I mean, I thought Miller going there, he was definitely going to help them in a limited capacity. He did. He kind of got worn down towards the end of games, but he still made an impact. And he probably just wants to go back to Denver, and I don't know how much he's going to make. What did he make this past year? $700,000.
Right.
So, I mean, it was, what was he, 17 the last couple of years before that. So, he's going to get some money, but not a whole lot. And he can go home, and Russell Wilson's going to be there. And he could be, Denver's defense is pretty good, right? Or no, it's not. We thought it was good because they were beating up on the Jets, but
well,
they got overhyped early. But
Denver has more potential on defense than they do on offense.
Yeah, they turned out to be okay. So he could certainly help them defensively. They're going to have a top 10 quarterback, and he's beloved, I'm sure.
Well, he's got a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a Super Bowl winning team with arguably the best defensive player, one of the top 5 defensive players ever play the game if he sticks around for another year. So I don't understand this. I really don't. It
doesn't make sense.
I would think it's more because LA is not that interested in bringing him back.
Either that or there's a little bit of internal stuff that is making Von Miller say, okay, well, this was nice, but we're not doing it again. So let me get out of here while the getting's good. And Russell Wilson's back in Denver. Let me get up there.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, Bobby Wagner being cut by the Seahawks. Does anybody pick him up?
I think he's still a good. I think he's still good. I would say, give him a 2-year deal.
Bobby Wagner on the Rams in replacing Von Miller upgrade.
Replacing Von Miller an upgrade.
Even adequate.
Yeah. Even. Yeah. Apples to apples. I think.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a downgrade, but not much.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think? What do you think Jamal Adams is thinking about this deal?
Why?
Well, I mean, he wanted to get the hell out of Dodge, right, with the Jets, and he went up to Seattle because they're a great team. He's going to win there, and then all of a sudden Russell Wilson's not there anymore. So, I'm just speculating. I'm just curious what you think.
I think if Seattle gets themselves a decent quarterback, I don't think you see much of a change in Seattle. In fact, I think you might see them improve.
Well, they kind of sucked last year. So, I mean, if they win 6 games, they're improving, right?
Well, they won 7 last year.
Oh, they did win 7? I thought they won 5.
No.
7?
Yeah, but where are they going to get this decent quarterback from?
Well, he mentioned Jimmy G.
Jimmy G. It's perfect for this,
I guess.
I don't know. He knows the division, clearly, So, here's the big news from the other day, and that would be Aaron Rodgers re-signing with Green Bay. They're working out the structure of the deal right now, but it's 4 years. Looks to be 4 years, $200 million. Makes him the richest player ever in.
Why did Rodgers have to tweet today that he hasn't signed anything? Granted, we know you haven't signed anything. Nobody's reported that you signed anything. Mm-hmm. What they reported was that they were.
It's just Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers.
I think he's not allowed to sign anything, right?
Yeah.
They can't actually.
But it's just such a weird tweet. Anything. It's like he almost said, "Yay, I'm coming back to the Packers, but maybe not for as long as you think I am. Don't get too excited."
Right.
He's.
Chris
Russo was on one of the ESPN shows today, and he said, "I'm sick of Aaron Rodgers," and I agree with Christopher Russo. I'm sick of Aaron Rodgers.
There you go. 100 of that $200 million, 153 million of it's guaranteed.
Yeah, whatever.
So
go fucking lose in the first round again.
The biggest per year contract, $50 million a year.
Better to lose in the final seconds of the championship game.
There you go.
I'd much rather see that.
There you go.
Aaron Rodgers is more and more quickly becoming a pariah with everyone except Packers fans, and maybe with a lot of Packers fans too.
Yeah, a few of them. I definitely will. I've heard from a few of them that feel the same way. Yeah.
It's whatever.
But, I mean, he's still
do it on the field.
Yeah, he's still doing it though. It's not like he fell off. He won the freaking MVP again.
Still a bad man on the field.
That's a whole other.
He didn't deserve it.
That was
bullshit anyway.
Yeah, I know. We went over that already. But Deshaun Watson, believe the grand jury is Friday. He's got to testify. But word is that out there right now that the Eagles are the most likely landing spot for him if this is to, come to a conclusion and he can actually play. What do you think about that? That was my point when I said before Washington competing with Philly that you said.
Well, now this is this a criminal or this is a civil?
This is the class action.
Class action civil thing.
Okay, so even if he's convicted, he just has to pay money and he can still
play.
Right,
but the NFL has to say, okay,
he's going to be suspended for half a season, easy.
Right.
And
so what was the question? Good fit in
Philly.
Deshaun Watson's a good fit wherever he goes, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's a good.
Yeah, listen, the NFC East could end up being if that happens, and Trubisky is, Wentz is able to play at anything, and maybe Trubisky comes in and has a resurgence. NFC East could be a badass division once again.
I'm not so sure Deshaun Watson's going to be playing next year.
I'm not either.
I don't really think he is either. But
if he does,
apparently,
the Eagles.
From everybody saying if he is playing next year, it's in Philly. So we'll see.
That'd be interesting.
It would be. And the only other thing NFL-wise that I want to bring up is Kirk Cousins. You think he's on the move? Out of Minnesota.
He gets, what is it, $45 million if they don't move him? Right. Not this year, but next year or
next
something?
Next year,
yeah.
So
Seattle?
I heard crap, where did I hear? No, I didn't. I thought
Ottawa Rough Riders?
Rough Riders, that's right. I don't know. The Jersey Generals, actually, for the USFL.
That's the Saskatchewan.
Right. Oh, no, Tampa.
Oh.
Yeah. But apparently the Vikings are open to trading Thielen and Cook, too. Imagine that. Why the hell would they get rid of Dalvin Cook?
So we're done. We tried, we're done. We're going back.
I mean, Thielen, all right, you got Justin Jefferson and so forth and so on, but Dalvin Cook, really? You're going to trade?
No.
I don't get it. But of course, that's just reporting. That's not from So
he had one big catch a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's all.
I don't know. Kirk Cousins isn't a bad quarterback,
He's Carson Wentz.
No, he's better than Carson Wentz.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he is. I think probably Washington would have been better hanging on to him a few years ago.
He's better than Mitchell Trubisky.
He's better than Trubisky, that's for sure.
Better than Daniel Jones.
Well, he's no Ryan Tannehill.
He's no Ryan Tannehill.
He isn't a Ryan Tannehill, actually.
He's no Chad Pennington either. So.
Yeah.
But who is?
Ryan Tannehill is exactly what some of these teams need. He's perfect in Tennessee. He's perfect. He'd be perfect.
It's in the big game.
Well,
but if you can't get there,
well, that's right? Carson Wentz, though, right?
Would you rather pay somebody Ryan Tannehill money and choke in the big game, or would you rather pay him Aaron Rodgers money and choke in the big game?
Yeah.
Good point.
Sure. On that USFL note I mentioned, not that we're going to talk about it, but it's coming. Yeah, you haven't seen it?
No, I don't care.
The USFL will be playing this year. They start April 16th.
How exciting!
April 16th, the USFL. There's 8 teams. The New Jersey Generals are one of them. And they will be playing every single game in Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, I heard something about this the other week.
There's no games in Jersey. There's no games it doesn't matter what teams there are. Whatchamacallit. There's no games anywhere except Birmingham, Alabama. Let me pull up the
So what stadium is that?
You got the Birmingham Stallions. You got the the Philadelphia Stars. There's the Panthers, the Maulers, the Breakers, the Gamblers, the Bandits.
Why is this coming back?
I don't know.
Because there's not enough football.
Remember we had the indoor football thing where it's like parkour and football mixed together?
Yep.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Are they going to play in the summer again?
They're going to play, I think they're playing a 3-game schedule.
3-game schedule, nice.
No, they got a 10-game schedule. But every game is in Birmingham, Alabama. They're playing
in a bubble?
Friday night.
Stars looks like the Dallas Stars.
So every game for every team. You're saying every game for every team is being played in Birmingham, Alabama.
Every game for every team, home or away, is in Birmingham, Alabama.
And this is just because Birmingham was the only city in America to give them a tax break on this?
Who else plays in Birmingham?
University of Alabama, is that in Birmingham?
Is that who plays there? I don't know. I have no idea where the University of Alabama
Here we go. It's the Pittsburgh Maulers, the Michigan Panthers, the New Orleans Breakers, the Houston Gamblers, the Philadelphia Stars, the Birmingham Stallions, the Tampa Bay Bandits, and the New Jersey Generals.
I will be following this as closely as I follow the Major League Soccer standings.
Well, here you go. This is why I brought it up. We went on a little too long with it, but this is why I brought it up. The opening day for USFL is April 16th. Will we have USFL games before we have Major League Baseball games?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I think so.
All right. So that's the. So you both say I agree. We will see more. I'm using air quotes. Professional football before we have professional.
Okay,
baseball.
so it is Alabama.
Can I ask a question though? Why are they playing every game in Birmingham? Is this a COVID thing?
I don't. Yeah, you know what? Why? That's a good idea. Why?
Let's see.
This is a bubble to create a bubble.
Oh.
This is like the truckers protesting the COVID rules after they were all dropped, and gas was at $6.
According to Fox Sports, the games will be held at Protective Stadium, part of the University of Alabama, Birmingham, with a number of additional games also staged at historic Legion Field.
There you go. But it doesn't say why.
Is one of America's most dynamic and welcoming cities with blah, 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 located downtown, blah, 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 blah. Nope. Doesn't say why.
It does not say why.
Every year that just goes to another city?
It's a tour. Exactly.
That's actually not a bad idea.
No.
You have
doesn't say why in this article.
So you're gonna have
this is the future
road trip to Birmingham.
What we need in the internet. So I typed in the search box who plays football in Birmingham, Alabama. That article came up. Mm-hmm. Now I should be able to add to those results the word why. Mm-hmm. And then it will give me the reason why they're playing there, but it doesn't do that.
So I'm just gonna put quotes around that. I'll see if that
does that work anymore. That's such a 1998 thing.
It does.
It still does. It still does.
If there is a search result, it works.
I get it.
Due to a scheduling conflict with the 2022 World Games, which take place over 10 days in July in Birmingham, the playoff and championship games for the United States Football League inaugural season will be played in Canton, Ohio at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
So not only did they pick a city to play it in, but then they fucked up by saying, oops, we didn't check our schedule.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, here we go. Well, I don't know if this is the official reason, but so the Birmingham Stallions will play their home games in Birmingham. The rest of the league will also play their home games in Birmingham.
And their away games.
The approach eliminates all travel costs, an important consideration given that the primary purpose of the games will be to put them on TV and to use them as the impetus for legal gambling in the states that allow it. Where the games will be played doesn't matter. Whether anyone attends the games doesn't matter. This is according to NBC Sports. PFT, which I assume stands for Pro Football Talk. What matters is that after football season ends, gamblers will have football games on which to wager.
So this is all about gambling. That's nothing else.
This is not a quote, by the way. This is an
article. They picked the cheapest place to play.
This is Mike Florio from January 19th of this year.
From the Birmingham Chamber of Commerce.
On NBC Sports Pro Football Talk. Now, who is Johnson?
He was president back in the 60s.
That's right.
Oh, via Roy S. Johnson of AL.com, USFL officials acknowledged earlier this week that on January 25, the Fox-owned venture will announce that all 43 games for 2022 will be played in Alabama. So he didn't say it's because of those reasons. In other words, these are not quotes. This is what Florio is reporting. Wow.
He's just reporting.
So this is, So Roy S. Johnson.
Now, is it Roy S. Johnson or Roy S. Johnson?
Roy S.
Gotcha.
Officials acknowledge that all games will be played in Birmingham, Alabama. And then the next paragraph says the approach eliminates and all that other stuff I said. So I don't know if that's them acknowledging that, if that's an extension of their acknowledgement, or whether that's just Florio's opinion. Either way, I think it's right. And it's very interesting. We don't care where we play, home teams, and they're going to save a boatload of money on travel.
I think I'm going to take the Steamers in the first round.
Exactly. I think they should, yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. I kind of like the name Maulers.
Maulers are cool.
I might become a Maulers fan.
Was it the Pittsburgh Steamers? Thought I heard Steamers.
It was the Pittsburgh. It was the Maulers, right?
The Maulers, okay.
The Pittsburgh Maulers.
The Maulers versus the Steamers.
There you go. The Steamers. All right. All right. Let's bring this around to we're an hour into the show. Let's bring it around to basketball. So
please, who cares?
We got a few things to talk about basketball tonight. Not a ton, but we got our list too. So let's kick it off with the quiz. We still don't have our theme music. So we got to get that for. Let's get
I
that
know.
for next week.
Stupid college education.
Quiz.
The quiz. All right, there you go. There we go. We just did it ourselves. There you go. You know, I'm going to sample that too.
Just throw a couple horn sounds in.
Right. All right, here we go. First week we did centers. Last week we did power forwards. This week, best NBA point guards all time.
Ooh.
Hang on. You know what? We can use one of the gerbils. Oh, hold on.
That's again. We don't want to overlap into your OnlyFans.
The quiz.
Silence.
Batteries must be dead.
Damn
take the
batteries.
gerbil out of your ass.
You needed them in something else.
I think he suffocated when he was in my ass. Yeah.
Oh well.
I'll bury him tomorrow.
There you go. All right. Well, you have another one up there, don't you?
Let's see if this one. No.
That's why the lights are off in the background in case anything's scary. So
All right, hold on. The quiz. He's like the frog in the cartoon.
He just doesn't like it.
Did you get that?
It had that long buzz afterwards.
No,
I think we've gone from 0 to 1 viewer now.
I know, right? Exactly. All right. Let's do the quiz. Here we go.
You mean the hamster brought in one viewer?
The hamster brought in one viewer. There you go.
Whenever you have #hamster, you get a certain type of viewer.
You get a couple of viewership.
There's probably a PETA monitor watching.
All right.
That's fine.
So, all right. So,
making sure we don't abuse it.
Like a PETA sandwich.
No,
I
love animals or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's for the insertion of gerbils
into modern television
into
and
orifices.
Depending on what you mean by for, I would argue there's an entire organization that's probably for it.
There you go.
But that doesn't make them anything close to mainstream.
Not at all. All right. Back to the quiz.
All right, back to the quiz.
Best NBA point guards all time.
Oh,
I'm going to give you 6 for stay. 2 got to go. Write them down. Here we go. Ready? Magic Johnson. Steph Curry. The Big O. Allen Iverson. Foreshadowing. Russell Westbrook. And Isaiah Thomas.
Ooh.
So once again, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Oscar Robertson, Allen Iverson, Russell Westbrook, and Isaiah Thomas. 4 got to stay, 2 got to go. Radio Pete, kick it off.
All right, Westbrook's gone.
All right.
He can't win.
All right.
I'm saying he's had good guys around him, and it's never translated into.
Fair enough.
Well, I guess what they almost got to the finals. They got to the finals. No, they didn't get to the finals.
Yeah.
Almost got. Yeah, whatever. Well, this is tough. I should hate Isaiah. You should hate Isaiah.
I kind of do.
I do.
To the Knicks, but he was a monster, man.
Mm-hmm. He was a monster man.
Iverson, how do you not love Iverson? MJ's the greatest ever. Curry is the Big O. You can't leave the Big O off the list.
Not so much.
All right, I'll get rid of Steph. We don't need 3-pointers.
All right,
there you go.
So you're
Steph
going
and Russell Westbrook.
You got rid of Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook. You keep Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson, Allen Iverson, and Isaiah Thomas. Harry.
Well, look, the argument is Iverson a point guard? And I would argue he wasn't. But for the list that you gave me, Magic and Oscar have to stay on there. Based on this list, I'm going to get rid of Westbrook and Thomas. Having said that, I think my list would be Magic, Oscar, Jerry West, Bob Cousy. Because I think, Steph Curry's tough. Is he a point guard? Yeah, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's a prototypical point guard. I think that people like Iverson and Steph Curry even more so, are probably, he's a point guard because he's got another two on his team. But they're really, their point guard is their small forward, and they have two shooting guards.
Right.
So
yeah,
I
did read an interesting take about Iverson a couple of weeks ago, which was basically looked at his stats and looked at assists.
Yeah. And
said, Iverson, we think of him as a shooter, but he really, were a number of years where he was the leader on the team. In the
Iverson belongs on this list. I put him as a 2 guard on the Sixers because I on our list that's coming up and I'll explain why. On this list, I think that, Magic, Oscar, and Iverson are a no-brainer. Westbrook is definitely not on this, but I don't know.
I'd be okay with would you get rid of Isaiah too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was, if it wasn't Curry, it was Isaiah.
Isaiah was a great player. I hate him as much as I hate Steph Curry because I think they both. I think Steph Curry's ruined the NBA, and I just hate Isaiah Thomas. And I think there's better point guards.
There you go.
But
and Isaiah ruined the CBA and did a nice job with the Knicks too. So.
Yeah.
He's a lousy manager too.
Yeah. And from what I've been told firsthand, he's an asshole. So
yeah. But I liked him because the Pistons and the Nasty Boys and all that shit.
No.
So
I don't know. What I said before.
There you go. Well, right. The list is the list. I know. I prefaced the list by saying best NBA point guards all time. It's the list. I mean, I could have just given you Russell Westbrook 6 times. Yeah. Out of these 6 names, who the 4 you?
I'm going to go Magic, Curry, Oscar, and Iverson.
There you go. There you go. All right, fair enough.
So you're half right.
Yeah,
and I'm half right.
I mean, look, Steph Curry. Say what you want about him, but the games, I don't know. You need some shooting. We have a bunch of really good shooting point. The only one who really wasn't known as a shooter is Magic. The rest of these point guards are pretty damn good scorers.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Good list, though.
All right.
Poor Russell Westbrook.
The quiz.
And we wait. I like the noise he's making, too.
Very, very happy.
Sure you didn't buy that gerbil from Adam and Eve or whatever that late night.
Actually,
the Romantic Depot.
That's right.
I found him
on Route 17. That's right. On the Long Island Expressway.
Yeah.
It's right off the LIE, the Romantic Depot.
It's the Pleasure Palace and Pet Store.
Pet store.
Housebreaking wee-wee pads with every purchase for either store.
Ocean Avenue and Avenue U in Brooklyn.
Dogs of all kinds.
There you go. All right. We are on NBA time, obviously. Yeah, I'm gonna kick it off by saying the Nets Charlotte game last night. Did you watch it?
No, but
watched a little bit of it.
Kyrie had a pretty good game.
50 points.
Listen, last night is why people put up with Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Kyrie fan. I think extremely highly of him. The guy's just a phenomenal player.
Mm-hmm.
And
sometimes.
When he plays, pretty much. He doesn't have too many bad games. And when he puts up 50 and goes, Johnny, you want to rattle off the stats?
He had 50 points. He had nine 3-pointers.
But 9 of what? Like 9 of 12, right? Or
9 of 12.
9 of 12.
15 of 19 overall. I mean, that's sick,
9 of 12.
9 of 12.
I mean, that's...
it's crazy good. And
that's what Shaq shoots from on dunks.
That's why teams put up with him. And
Jack misses 3 dunks.
Well, it gets fouled and misses or something. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it was.
And Durant had a terrible game. Well, not terrible, but he certainly wasn't a good game.
Wasn't a Kevin Durant game, is what it was.
He didn't take a lot of shots.
Well, luckily Kyrie had the 50-point game though. But I mean, they won. They broke their 4-game skid. They've now won 20 road wins. They have 20 road wins this year. Second most in Nets NBA history.
Now, how many of those 20 road wins was Kyrie part of?
A fair amount of them, right?
I'm guessing about half.
Well, they had 20 road wins. They had 20 road wins last year too, and the other year they tied the 20 road wins. This is the second most. Was 05-06 season. They had 23 in 2012-2013. So, but they have 8 more away games, right? So theoretically, they could, break the record this year. They need to win 4 more, and they break the record. So
there you go.
I mean, half of their away games, and if Kyrie plays away like he did last night, they may very well do that. But
or even sort of like he did last night.
Even sort of like he did last night.
And Durant has a better game.
Right, exactly.
Now let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Is whatever used to be the Meadowlands Arena, is it still standing? Is it still there? The basketball arena?
It's still there. Yeah.
Okay. Brendan Byrne.
Yeah, whatever it was last.
Continental Airlines, Izod was the last.
Yeah, nobody plays there anymore. But
there's nothing in there. It's empty.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Should the Nets rent that for the remainder of the season so Kyrie can play in home games?
I think that people in Brooklyn would be kind of upset.
Fuck the people in Brooklyn. They're all from Kansas anyway.
No, they're not. They're from Manhattan.
Some of them.
I was just in Brooklyn on Friday.
All right. You were everywhere.
I've been everywhere, man.
Great, but good idea, isn't it?
It's not a bad idea, actually. Not a bad idea at all.
Listen, I think
they go back. They go back to the Prudential Center for that matter, and then just where they were. And
no, I don't think so. Because I think. Well, I mean, I'd like to see the Nets get out of the play-in part of the playoffs, right. But I don't want them up near the top. I think I want them.
Well, what I'm talking about is the playoffs too. Yeah, they're not going to get to the top. My point being is that this will get them into the playoffs and then allow Kyrie to play in every playoff game.
No, they'll never allow him to do that for the playoffs.
If they play in New Jersey, they will.
Yeah, but they can't do that. You can't just. We're not going to play at Brooklyn.
Why not?
If they pay their rent, what the hell do they care?
The Devils playing.
Everybody that has tickets can still come watch them. They just have to take the train out to the Meadowlands instead of Brooklyn.
I have to think there's going to be some sort of a rule that says you can't just play somewhere else.
I don't know. We're living in weird times. I mean, the alternative is for Kyrie to get a fucking shot.
Yeah, well, but that's not going to happen. So,
yeah. Imagine they go through all this. Like, okay, we can pick up everything, renovate a stadium that hasn't been used in 12 years, work or longer, move everybody over there, or Kyrie gets a vaccine.
Yeah,
one or the other. Yeah.
He'll probably end up getting it like a week after the season ends. And they get bounced. They get bounced out of the playoffs.
Kyrie's having a great year. He's only missed 3 shots. His first 2 shots in the booster.
Yeah. I don't know.
Did you write that or did you hear that?
No,
they're not going to.
It needs a little work.
They're not going to win anything.
Tweak it a little bit. No, I don't. There's too much good basketball being played right now this year.
Yeah.
And they're too far back and too inconsistent to, I think, I don't know. It could be worse. It could be the Knicks, but they're only like 5.5 games in front of the Knicks.
Right. And again, like we
should be a hell of a lot more than that.
The whole Eastern Conference is, well, not every team, but is better. Last year it was the Nets and the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then where is everybody else going to finish? Right. And Philly was.
Well, Sixers were there too, but
Sixers were kind of in the conversation too, right? And they should have been. But everybody said ultimately it's going to be the Nets or the Bucks. Well, that's not the case now. The Bucks are still in it, but the Sixers are better, and Miami and Chicago and all that we talk about. So
Celtics, Cavs. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, I mean, this idea that let's say they lift restrictions and Kyrie comes back, and then Simmons comes back, and the Nets can win every game that they're in, but there's a lot more talent that they have to go through,
right?
And I don't think they're head and shoulders above all of it.
No,
these other teams are damn good.
Agreed.
So I don't.
I have a dream. The Nets play the Sixers in a playoff series. It comes down to a game 5 or game 7, whichever they're in. James Harden is guarding Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons hits a 3 to send the Nets on to the next round or to the finals.
Interesting.
That's my dream.
I was thinking something similar, only the two of them collide.
And they're carted off the field.
And both of them they both get concussions. And
Ben Simmons could become a goon. He could just become the Ogie Oglethorpe.
We don't need you to score. Just beat the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he's a better defensive player than offensive player.
Right. That's what they tell me.
Although he's
that's what they've said.
He's not a shagger offensively.
He just can't shoot or go to the free throw line in the fourth quarter. But
yeah. Well, that's.
He's worth.
I don't know, man.
Definitely an equal trade for James Harden.
Absolutely. Well, the
Knicks are up by 20 already.
Are they? That's great.
I need them to hold on to this lead.
Do you know?
Let's see.
Well, yeah. Then Denver moves into a tie with Dallas for the 5th spot.
There you go.
The Lakers are losing again. How does Phoenix keep winning?
I don't know. They're up. Ooh, geez, into the 3rd. They're up by a lot.
Yeah.
Can the Knicks hang on to a 20-point lead against Dallas?
No.
Probably not, right?
No.
If
it was a 20-point lead with 6 minutes left in the 4th, they couldn't hold on to it.
That would be.
This is halfway through the second. Okay.
I'd feel a little better.
I'd feel a little better, but it's still not 100% confident in that being able to hold that. But
what are you going to do?
Oh, wait! Now they have a 21-point lead now.
Yeah.
Look at that. Expanding the lead. But anyway, I don't know. You think they? You know what? Hey, you played your level of competition, right? Dallas could lose this game tonight.
Devin Booker's back playing tonight for Phoenix. So.
There you go.
And yeah.
Wow, how do the Knicks have 44? Everyone is scoring some.
Yep.
Gee.
Am I looking at this right? RJ Barrett has 14. No one else is in double digits.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And Dallas has 25. What is going on there?
Well, it's in New York, right?
No, it's in Dallas.
Oh, is it?
Dinwiddie's not doing much.
Doncic has 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, either
minus 14.
Obviously they're not making any shots. They're 9 for 33.
Mm-hmm.
But is that because of the Knicks' good defense?
Oh, yeah.
Or because the Mavericks?
I think it's in spite of the Knicks' defense.
For 14 from 3-point land for the Mavericks.
I think that the East is starting to move. There's a little bit of movement in the East. Boston's on fire. Milwaukee's playing decent ball. The Sixers and the Heat are the two hottest teams.
Heat are running,
and the Bulls are kind of falling back to earth a little bit. But Celtics are 8-2 in their last 10. So are the Sixers, and so are the Heat.
Yep.
The Cavs are dropping, and it's all clumped up down at the bottom. Look, Brooklyn's probably going to hold on, but they're only a game and a half behind the Wizards from falling out of the play-in.
Yeah, I want them in the 7 or 8.
Well,
I don't want them in the 9 or 10.
They should hold on to that, but you never know.
You never know.
That's the thing. See, the thing about the Nets is you just don't. I mean, look, every team has injuries and all that stuff, but the Nets have so many other things that you don't know who's going to play. Right. And you got Kyrie, even if it's an away game. Okay.
How many away games do they have left?
Yeah, like 8.
All right.
So he's probably going to play, but he might miss a couple of them.
How many home games do they have?
I don't know. What are they at? 66? How many games this season?
82.
82?
Full season.
Okay. So that's what, 18?
Mm-hmm.
No, 16? 16 left?
So 8 and 8.
66 and 16 is 82?
Mm-hmm. They got, it was 24, 65. Yeah. So, 16, 17 games. Knicks has, 16 after tonight.
So 8 and 8.
8 and 8.
That's 8 on the road, 8 at home.
And what are the odds right now? What are the Vegas odds right now that Kyrie plays all remaining 8 away games?
Oh, he'll have some sort of emotional trauma.
There'll be something, right?
Yeah.
There's only 16 games left for Ben Simmons to come back.
Right.
And start to play and get himself into shape and get his head right.
Well, they play. When do they play the Sixers? Tomorrow night or this week?
Tomorrow
right?
night. Yeah,
tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. Listen, who knows if Simmons even? I don't know why he wouldn't want. Oh, and on cue, the trombone.
Why does Simmons want to go and sit in Philly on the bench? I don't understand this.
I wouldn't think he would not want to come to the Nets, but maybe he doesn't want to be on the Nets. Maybe he just wanted to get out of Philly, and this was a way to do that. And I like what is wrong with him that he's not playing?
He's a fucking head case.
Yeah, I know, but
sorry, Ben Simmons, but you're a head case.
But he's had like a whole year to.
Well, they're saying it's a back issue.
Yeah, right. That sounds right. Like that's the same as Harden's hamstring.
Mm-hmm. Well, Harden last year did have a hamstring. This year, not so much.
No,
yeah. This year he was just he didn't want his stats to go up so that the Nets felt better about trading him.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see all the pieces coming together for the Nets.
It just makes it so easy to root for the Milwaukee Bucks. Just makes it so easy. I'll tell you, a team that's looking good that I didn't think would be playing this well towards the end of the season is Boston. I don't want to face Boston in the first round or the second round of the playoffs.
Who's even on Boston?
Well, the same players they've always had.
Other than Tatum. I have no idea. Is that the guy I'm thinking of? No, I get the wrong.
Well, you got Jason Tatum. You got Jaylen Brown.
Matt Ryan, Derek White.
Well, Marcus Smart is.
You got Stauskas, that name I know. Peyton Pritchard, who
you got Derek White and Marcus Smart is having a great year.
Marcus Smart, I know.
Along with Brown and Tatum, you got two great players right there. You got Al Horford, who's a good role player and has been around the block a long time.
Not that this should be the benchmark, but I don't know too many of these names.
Well, Derek White and Marcus Smart, you certainly know.
No, Derek White's kind of a generic name.
The Nets have 6 away games and 10 home games.
Ah, okay. So it's even worse than I thought.
Right.
So he'll probably play in 4 of them.
Right.
Maybe 5. Probably 5.
He'll be out 1.
So, I mean, you got Tatum and Brown who are averaging over 26 and over 23, each. Now, do you throw Schroeder in there? I don't even know if he's playing right now.
You got from the Peanuts or?
Yeah.
I don't see him on the roster.
Dennis Schroeder, who's now on, he's still on.
Right.
Or is he on the Rockets now? Anyway, doesn't matter. You got Marcus Smart and Derek White, 2 really good point guards who are both averaging over 10 and, Marcus Smart's averaging almost 12 and 6 a game as a point guard. Al Horford's still playing, still averaging close to a double-double. They're just playing good team basketball. They're a good team.
All right.
You got two all-stars at small forward and shooting guard, and Tatum and Brown, who are both in the top 10 in scoring or top 15 in scoring in the NBA. So yeah.
So they're kind of like last year's Miami.
You mean 2 years ago, Miami?
2 years ago, yeah.
Or this year's Miami?
Well, this year's Miami is better than that team was, I think.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, they got a couple of names that and they're just playing really good team ball.
Yeah,
I guess you could say Tatum's kind of a superstar, and
they're kind of the same team they have been for the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah,
I mean, just kind of putting it all together, I guess.
And Brown. I mean, they're both all-stars, right?
There you go. The Knicks have 9 home games and 7 away games.
Yeah, the Knicks are not going to make the playoffs. You heard it here first.
Damn it! I thought they were. I thought they were in already. Damn it.
Yeah.
Well, they're only 4 games behind Atlanta.
Yeah, will Atlanta make the playoffs?
I don't know.
I mean, beyond the play-in game.
I got you.
I don't know.
Now, are we when we say that what team's going to make the playoffs, what team's not? Are we including the play-in game, or are we including just the 8?
Yeah. Oh, I include the play-in game. Why not? That's the format.
It's the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I
guess still the playoffs. So, it's going to be interesting as it comes down to it over the next few weeks. So, we got another the last games of the season are April 10th, I believe.
Yeah, we got another month.
Yeah, April 10th. Another 4 shows before we're
there we go.
Playoff basketball. So, yeah. All right, cool.
All
right. Should we get to our list of the evening?
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not?
Why the hell not, right? Okay, tonight's list, as we've been doing the last few weeks, is not technically a top 10. It's the top rotations, bottom 10, yeah. Top rotations of all time, so to speak.
All-time starting lineups.
All-time starting lineups. We got the first team, second team, and we got reserves. So we, as we have the last couple of weeks, tonight is the top Philadelphia 76ers of all time. Top Philly 76ers of all time. So we're going to start off. I'll just read them off, and then we'll discuss each team. We'll do the first team first, because that's the way it goes, right? So starting first team, starting at point guard would be Mr. Hal Greer. Starting at shooting guard would be Mr. Allen Iverson. At small forward, Dr. J, Julius Erving. At power forward, Sir Charles, Mr. Barkley. And, of course, at center, Wilt Chamberlain. There you go. So that's our starting team, our first team. Hal Greer, Allen Iverson, Julius Erving, Charles Barkley, and Wilt Chamberlain. Gentlemen?
Look, I mean, that's a pretty good starting team. That's for sure.
Yep. I would have called Iverson a point guard, but neither here nor there. He's on the first team either way. Greer was a monster. I think he played his whole career with Philly, right?
He did, and, well, for whatever Philly was, Syracuse, right?
Yeah,
Syracuse Nationals.
Nationals before that.
Yeah, it was half and half, Hal Greer. It was half his career was in Syracuse, half his career was in Philly, but it was the whole
it was the same team.
It's the same team. And it was not the ABA, it was the NBA. The Syracuse Nationals were in the NBA. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Hal Greer was kind of the original Allen Iverson. He was kind of a hybrid, was he a point guard? Was he? I mean, he's most people classify him as a point guard, but he was a scorer as well. And,
yeah, I mean, 19 a game.
Maybe one of the, there's a couple guys in this list who are not household names, who maybe should be based on their, based on what they did, and he's one of them. I mean, the other guys on that list are all very well known.
Right.
But I could not have both of them. That's how I justify it. Is, I think they both deserve to be on the starting team, and I think when you look at Iverson, I think there's just as many people who put him as a 2. In fact, probably more people classify him as a 2 guard than a point guard. So,
yeah, I think I'm in the slight minority on that, but either way, you can't put our second team guy ahead of either one of these two. I don't think.
No,
this is true.
Absolutely not.
That's really what it comes down to. Not that he's a scrub, but
no,
he's no Hal Greer and he's no Allen Iverson.
Right.
No, and Wilt won a championship with Philadelphia, or was it Philadelphia? Yeah.
Yes.
And then they had a lot of really good teams that didn't quite do it until we'll talk probably more about that in our second team. But, even the great Dr. J needed some help to win the championship.
Yep.
Iverson was never able to do it, although let me tell you something. Talk about a guy who carried an entire team on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson, I will say this is underrated in the history of basketball. He was a singular type of player. And as good as Dr. J is, and I'm not suggesting he's not the best Sixer of all time, and as good as Wilt Chamberlain is, Allen Iverson's way up on that list of the greatest Sixers of all time, without a doubt.
Yeah, and he played during an era what was could be a bit rough and tumble.
Yeah,
at times, and he was not a big guy, but it never stopped him from getting in there.
Nope.
He got beat up pretty good. He had a lot of heart. He's a warrior, no question.
This is true.
And of course, Barkley, who I don't know. Do we think when someone says Charles Barkley, do you think Phoenix first or do you think Philly first?
I think Philly. Whenever I think both really, but
Phoenix is certainly a little fresher in the memory, but
depends on how old you are because some people think Rockets. Right. I think he's one of those players who's equal with both organizations. I mean, the Sixers kind of gave up on him just a little early because his first year in Phoenix, he won MVP.
Yeah.
So I think of him as both, but he's certainly what did he play 8 years, almost 9 years with the Sixers.
9, I think.
Yeah. So he was pretty. He was very, very, very much an exciting new player in the NBA when he came into the league. And think about his first year. If they were able to, if things worked a little better, but that was a hell of a team. I mean, Dr. J and Charles Barkley playing on the same team. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. Yeah, the round mound of rebound.
Yeah. Great player, one of the best power forwards of all time, and right up on that Mount Rushmore of greatest players to never win a championship. And he stands in line with a lot of other guys of that era who just were not able to get past the Jordan and the Bulls.
Exactly. There were so many of those.
Yeah.
All right.
None of them more reminded by Michael Jordan, perhaps, than Charles Barkley, though.
This is true.
I don't think Barkley gives a shit. He probably makes fucking $50,000 a week, yelling at Shaq whenever he decides to show up for a TNT. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to our second team. Our second team is going to be, we'll kick it off with the point guard, and that would be Mr. Maurice Cheeks, Mo Cheeks. And our second team shooting guard is Mr. Andrew Toney. Small forward, Billy Cunningham. Power forward, Dolph Adolph Shays. And, of course, our center would be Mr. Moses Malone. So there you go. Mo Cheeks, Andrew Toney, Bill Cunningham, Dolph Shays, and Moses Malone. Gentlemen?
It just tells you how good Wilt was. And look, I did a deep dive onto their stats as a Sixer or as a Philadelphia, whatever.
Right.
Syracuse, whatever. And you just, Wilt's rebounding stats alone are mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And look, Moses was great. And as a kid, I always thought, Moses was like 40 when he went to the Sixers, but he wasn't, he was kind of in his prime. And he took that team on his back, won an MVP, I think, with the Sixers, and then won a finals MVP. Moses Malone, really an incredible, one of the best centers of all time. And
sure.
Again, another organization with a long line of pretty damn good big men. Billy Cunningham, a guy who I think, again, underrated as a player. His stats are pretty damn strong. And, if it wasn't for Dr. J, I think, Billy Cunningham would certainly be the best small forward in the history of the Sixers.
This is true.
And Cunningham, Cunningham was a 20-10 guy with the Sixers and a 4-time All-Star.
Right. And Dolph Schayes is probably always in people's top 5 or 6 Sixers of all time.
Yeah.
He just was. I just don't think he had as big an impact as Barkley did. But he was a 14-time All-Star and made it to 11 straight playoffs.
12 time All-Star.
and won a championship. So
won a championship was Syracuse was still an NBA championship.
Yeah, and those were good teams. So
So let's see. This is 60. Let's see. Was it the 66, 67 season?
Yeah, 67 season is when they won it, and that was a hell of a team.
Yeah. So Wilt was like let's see. 24 and 24 points and rebounds.
Right.
Let me look up Hal Greer here.
I think
Hal Greer was 22 points a game and half a dozen rebounds.
Yeah.
And oh shoot, I lost Cunningham.
Dolph Schayes.
Well, Dolph Schayes wasn't on the Sixers for the 67 championship.
No, he wasn't.
I lost Cunningham.
He was
right around there. Like just so many. How many points? Not enough points to go around, man.
Yeah. Look, I think, and I could be mistaken, but I believe that Wilt Chamberlain averaged 25.8 rebounds a game as in his time in Philadelphia.
Right.
That's
crazy.
Incredible.
It is incredible. That's
yeah. Anyway, so and what I like about a lot of these Sixers is you have the Allen Iversons and the Dr. J's, but a lot of the rest of them, including Iverson, were a bunch of really hard-nosed kind of blue collar. They weren't the most nobody would say Billy Cunningham was the most athletic guy on the court at any time. This was a team that played defense and hit the boards maybe one of the best rebounding teams collectively through the 50s, 60s, and 70s and into the 80s. And then, and look, as a Knicks fan, there's always a rivalry with the Sixers, but as a basketball fan and somebody who had eyeballs during the 80s, I was like, oh, Dr. J? Okay. And then they got a guy who breaks backboards and we're going to get rid of him and get Moses Malone. I had to kind of root for him. They were just a great team.
There you go.
Fun to watch. Probably should have won a few more championships, both I think in the early Wilt days and in the Dr. J era, but I'm not going to hold that against them. It's hard to win a championship.
Right. All right. Let's check out we got 4 reserves now. Let's check out our reserves. We have Chet Walker. Excuse me. Byron Scott.
Byron Scott.
Kidding. I left it up there.
Michael Cooper.
No. Bobby Jones.
Ernie Grunfeld.
Ernie Grunfeld. Hold on. It should have been there. It should be this. There we go.
Our graphics person's a
Bobby Jones. Jimmy, get on that. Chet Walker, Bobby Jones,
Byron Scott.
He played one game for the Sixers.
Bobby Jones, is this the greatest golfers?
But Bobby Jones, one of the best defensive players in the history of the NBA.
He was pretty good.
And I think a 9-time six-man award.
Exactly. Larry Costello, a relative of yours.
My uncle's name is Larry Costello.
There you go. And of course, Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
So, Chet Walker, Bobby Jones, Larry Costello, and Joel Embiid.
Walker, again, a guy who played, just had staggering numbers and isn't a household name. I don't think really any of these guys are, but Bobby Jones, just a great player. Joel Embiid, I think we all know, but I'm not sure he'll ever be able to be, in my mind, better than Moses.
He's not going to move up on this list.
Yeah,
I don't care how long he plays. He's not.
He's also playing an era where there's 2 centers in the league.
I don't know.
But
you look at his numbers and Malone's numbers. It's the championship that's missing.
Right. Well, but Malone played against every game, and he just played against.
Yeah, that's kind of the knock against Embiid.
He was also a half a foot, if not more, shorter than Embiid. What is Embiid? 7'3". Moses Malone was probably 6'9". So
yeah, but Embiid's a better outside shooter too.
Well, Malone, but during the time in his game, Malone was very much known for his jump shot. He was kind of the precursor to Hakeem Olajuwon. Yeah, no,
yeah, it's splitting hairs, basically.
Splitting hairs, and it's apples to hand grenades and
oranges.
I do think that Embiid's downfall is just going to be that his longevity is not going to be there. Right. I think Moses Malone's numbers get hurt a little bit because he played until he was 73, so and through a lot of injuries as well. So yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. That's our list for now. I'll read them again. Our first team, Hal Greer, Allen Iverson, Julius Erving, Charles Barkley, and Wilt Chamberlain. Our second team, Mo Cheeks, Andrew Toney, Billy Cunningham, Dolph Schayes, and Moses Malone. And our 4 reserves are Chet Walker, Bobby Jones, Larry Costello, and Joel Embiid. There you go. All right. That brings us to this week's Old Balls. Old Balls. Harry, tell us who this week's Old Balls is.
This week's Old Balls is none other than Mr. Doug Collins, who was drafted first overall in the 1973 NBA draft by the Philadelphia 76ers. Played 8 seasons for the Sixers and was a 4-time All-Star. His career was definitely cut short by a number of injuries, beginning in 79, and his career would end in 1981. So not a long career, but a 4-time All-Star in 8 seasons, including a couple seasons where he was injury-riddled. Pretty amazing. And I bring him up because I think that, almost 18 points a game, a little over 3 assists a game, and a little over 3 rebounds a game. But, obviously Doug Collins went on to have a pretty damn good career as a coach. He coached the Chicago Bulls from 86 to 89, maybe setting the table for, those Bulls teams that Phil Jackson took over. Became the Detroit Pistons head coach, the Washington Wizards, and then came back to Philadelphia and became the Sixers head coach from 2010 to 2013. And I think a lot of people probably know him even after that as for his broadcasting career, and he's now working for the Chicago Bulls as a senior advisor. But I think Doug Collins has spent 4 decades as being a name in the NBA, and during his time on the court, he was actually a pretty damn good basketball player. And I think you could have probably argued for him. I was splitting hairs between him and Andrew Toney. I think Andrew Toney played in maybe a few more playoff games, but Doug Collins is somebody that gets forgotten as a player, but pretty damn good, and number 1 pick in the NBA draft many years ago,
many moons ago.
Doug Collins.
This week's Old Balls.
Old Balls. And he was wasn't he on the Olympic team that got shafted by Russia?
Probably, yeah, because he was a college player.
Yeah, because I think I remember seeing a documentary about that, and he was talking about that.
Yeah.
That was many years ago.
1970, right?
72.
72, okay.
The documentary was many years ago, too.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah,
okay, here we go. Doug Collins, let's see. Bobby Jones. Dwight Jones. Tom Henderson. Any of these names ringing a bell?
Yeah. Well, two of them are on our list.
Right.
Yeah. Tommy Burleson.
Celtics, right?
I don't know. It just says
Burleson Celtics, yeah.
Yeah. And Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer went on to play in the NBA as well.
And he's a comedian now, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. He's a right-wing anti-vax comedian.
He lost a lot of height and became a comedian.
That's it.
All right, so there you go. So put that on Doug Collins' resume, too. Lost to Russia. Got shafted by Russia.
Yeah, that wasn't the team that lost to Russia. That was also a bullshit call, by the way. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
So, just in case you were wondering, it's the half, and the Knicks almost have a 30-point lead now. So
that's going to be tough to blow that one.
61-34.
Well, it's a big win.
Yeah.
If they can do it.
If they can do it.
76ers. Not, an interesting team, that's for sure.
The Mavs shooting 27%.
It's crazy.
That's like a high school game where where it's like 54-12 at the half.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Hey, maybe they tried to phone this one in. So, but anyway,
all right.
At
least they didn't rest all their starters.
This is true. All right, and
Anything we want to say about hockey?
A little bit of hockey. Rangers are back in, all tied for second. They caught up to the Penguins. So by virtue of games played, they're in second right now behind Carolina in the Metropolitan Division, that is, with 77 points. Carolina has 83, though, 6 points ahead of them. So.
I did watch a Devils game last night. Now, that just happened to be because they were playing the Avalanche. They won.
Yeah, and the Avalanche are still, have the most points, 87 points.
Yeah, but they're struggling a little bit on their East Coast. They beat the Islanders.
There you go.
I think they play the Islanders again, don't they? In
they do.
Days?
Yeah. But it's still looking good. I mean, Rangers are playing good hockey. So, but so there's a few other teams. So it's gonna be an interesting season when it comes down to it and the playoffs.
All right, let's see. Let's look here just real quick. Sure. All right, so Carolina's +6 on the Rangers and Penguins.
Yep.
All right, so Florida is +3 on Tampa Bay. Colorado is +16 on the Blues.
Right.
And Calgary is +4 on LA. So who's more likely to flip-flop? LA and Calgary or Tampa Bay and Florida?
Tampa Bay and Florida.
Tampa Bay and Florida. It's a game less, and Tampa Bay has kind of a history of being pretty good.
A little bit, especially down the stretch when they get to the playoffs. So
yeah, and I don't remember the last time the LA Kings were any good. Not that
when they beat the Rangers in 2012 in the Cup.
So, it's a while.
Yeah,
you have to go way back to the
Gretzky
days before that, right?
You gotta. Who do you think's better, Florida, Tampa Bay, or Carolina?
Florida, Tampa Bay, or Carolina?
Yeah.
Tampa.
It's hard to go against Tampa Bay, man. Just history. But Carolina's looking pretty damn good. Yeah. But they have, God knows what happened to the Islanders this year. The Devils are not good. Philly's not good. But then again, we talked about Montreal, who's in the Atlantic with Florida. Toronto could be a team that you don't necessarily want to see in the playoffs. They're only 2 games behind. They're tied with Tampa in the win column. Yeah. However, the weird hockey points works, but I don't know. I see the Avalanche obviously a lot more than I see other teams. This Avalanche team looks pretty damn good, and I don't know. I think they're going to be a hard team to beat in the playoffs.
Yeah.
See, Florida just has such a huge goal differential. Yeah, they score a lot of goals. They're +70. Tampa Bay is 3 points back. They're +34. Toronto, as you just mentioned, they have a bigger differential than Tampa Bay. They're +42. The Avalanche are +62. Yeah. Right. So, no one else is, and then look at the Pacific.
Yeah.
Calgary's at +58 and Vegas is +16 in third. Well, nobody's even close. The Avalanche and Florida have definitely, scored the most the goals this year. Florida has 7 more than the Avalanche. If you're looking at that, so it's pretty impressive. I don't know. Toronto is a team that there's something about them. I think they got a chip on their shoulder after right? Yeah, I think I'm gonna. They're my little. They're not too much of a surprise, but I'm almost tempted to pick them to come out of that Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
I think they can get by Tampa Bay. I really do, but we'll see.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, 2012. By the way, the Kings beat the Devils. They beat the Rangers in 2014. So, but those are the only 2 cups they won. So
for those of you out there that were yelling and screaming.
I was yelling and screaming at myself because I realized it after I said it, and then I'm like, oh, shit, I better correct myself. For any hockey fan's going to listen to it, and they're going to say, no, it's not. They didn't win it then.
You idiot. It wasn't too.
I really hope it's the Edmonton Oilers and the Quebec Nordiques.
Could be the Quebec Nordiques. Why the hell not? So
I'd like to see Toronto get another shot at it.
And the Hartford Whalers are really an underrated team.
I wouldn't mind the Rangers, actually. But
well, if the Rangers play the Avalanche, then you'll have to come out here and watch a game.
If the Stanley Cup Finals are the Rangers and the Avalanche, I will come out there and watch a game with you.
Not that I really
I'll watch
care.
by a Zoom.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right.
The only time you'll be surrounded by more white people is when you go to the GOP National Convention.
There you go. So, all right. I think, what do you think?
Yeah, that'll do it.
That should do it. No over-unders tonight, right? We're going to take a week off after the marathon over-under last week.
What other bodily fluids on you can we count?
Well, I do have one we could do. It just occurred to me.
What might that be?
It's also medical.
Oh, jeez.
So I have
how many suppositories do you have in the bag?
No, how many This is the bottle for my day pills, which is empty.
Okay. Is that your Viagra in that
No, there's no Viagra in the
All right.
And this is
there are pills in there. I can hear them. Yes.
My night pills. So
all right.
I won't I'll just give you a number. You can guess how many. So these are nightly pills that I take.
All right. So you
giving
us the over-under number already?
I will say that one of them is just vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently everyone is vitamin D deficient.
Sure.
So
sure.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
And I drink milk too. Anyway, so let's see. That doesn't really tell you anything.
Mm-hmm.
So the over-under is going to be 3.5.
3.5.
3.5.
Harry, want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'm going under.
John's going under.
My gut tells me under. I'm going to go over. Opposite George.
There you go.
So we have the aforementioned vitamin D.
Vitamin D. Yeah.
We have the blood thinner.
There you go.
Eliquis.
Mm-hmm.
We have the cholesterol statin.
There you go.
And we have the seasonal Claritin.
There you go.
Because it's springtime and my allergies. So it is 4. So Harry wins again. We need a.
Did I win last time? I don't think I've won since 2019.
Well, last week
last time the Kings were good.
Since the last time the Kings were good, yeah.
I won one over under once. I think
there was like 16 different ones last week. So
last week
I
think
we all
won one.
We all
won
one
for
last
4,
week.
Yeah.
I think you have 2 wins, including this week.
Yeah, I believe so. All right.
So there we go.
Well, there you go. All right.
Oh yeah, I won the bag of something from Amazon. How many
hats?
Oh, the underwear.
The underwear.
Oh, the underwear.
I won the underwear one. Yeah. So maybe I've got 3 wins.
I believe you did. We'll have to go back and check.
I definitely lost the hat one.
Jimmy, check the stats.
That's right.
There you go.
All right.
All right. On that note,
can't wait for the USFL to start.
Yeah, April 16th, and we're all in agreement that it will start prior to the baseball season. So
yeah.
All right.
Maybe we should take a bus down there.
Yeah, maybe we could become the official podcast of the USFL.
We can become the official podcast of the USFL. I think if we get in on the ground floor of this right now, I think
we'll take a folding table down, set up a couple of mics. We'll have.
I've actually heard some decent things about Birmingham. Birmingham's sort of a college town. A lot of scientists and researchers and things of that nature.
Sure.
I think we could be media row.
We could do it.
I would imagine there'll be other media there, right? We could just sneak in, set up a folding table.
There'll be a couple other people. There'll be us.
Yeah, the Ocho will be there. Yes,
the Ocho will be there, and Bart.
I don't you think there's going to be get full coverage from the networks and stuff?
I believe at least the first game will.
Right. That's all.
Wait, that's a good question. Do they have a TV contract with anybody?
Yeah, man.
Well,
the
according to the statement, the whole point of having the games is
Lifetime. The Lifetime Network.
It's on TLC, the Learning Channel.
Which, by the way, there's nothing to learn on TLC except really scary things about people who live very, very weird lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. What used to be on the Learning Channel?
I don't know.
Shows,
Now it's hoarders,
hoarders,
widows, and winos or something. Yeah.
That's one show.
Yes.
Right.
Those channels are definitely misleading in their names.
There used to be a lot of cooking shows on the Learning Channel.
Yeah, it's basically people with like hoarders and tiny people with big
But didn't
families.
it used to be like science shows and like things that you could actually learn stuff from?
Yes. Back when Hal Greer played basketball.
Right. Well, a lot of them broke away, right? There was a ton of cooking shows on the Learning Channel. Then you got the Food Network. Then there was a ton of science shows on it, and then you got the Science Channel. And so they all broke away, so they had nothing left but hoarders and wives and all the other thing to put on there. So,
well, it is a good lesson in not to hoard.
This is true.
So you could learn that in case you didn't know.
In case you weren't aware.
So it's mostly shows about hoarders and sister wives. Here are the top 10 best TLC shows.
Sister wives?
Yeah. Well,
what are sister wives?
Sister wives are when you're in a traditional Mormon.
Oh, sister wives. Yeah, I got it.
Sister wives.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
Yeah. My Big Fat Fabulous Life.
There you go.
Is that large people?
Yes. I Am Jazz, which is a young transgender girl openly discussing the struggles of transgender youth. Counting On. After the cancellation of 19 Kids and Counting, they now have a show with the Duggar family returned with Counting On. I think they're on kid 20 or 21. Or God bless her uterus. So that's what they were gonna. That's what they were gonna call it.
It fell out three kids ago. So.
Welcome to Plathville follows an extremely conservative Plath family and their 9 children. Cameras give fans a peek at their daily life on the family farm in Georgia. And things often get extremely tense as the children get older and begin to question and rebel against their parents' strict rules. 1,000-pound sisters. So we have combined 2 sisters who are over 1,000 pounds. Return to Amish. This is a spinoff of the hit series Breaking Amish.
It's like Breaking Bad.
Breaking Amish is when they go out on the rumspringer, right?
And sell meth. It's when the Amish sell butter.
Right.
Yeah.
90
Day Fiance.
Shoe fly pie.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a 90 Day Fiance. My Feet Are Killing Me. This is the latest
That's in the name of the show. My Feet Are Killing Me.
The latest in a long line of medical reality shows around bizarre ailments. The series follows podiatrists Ebony Vincent and Brad Schaefer as they embark on a various of surgeries and procedures to treat their patients' foot problems.
So a couple of foot fetishists have their own show.
There you go.
Now they have 90 Day Fiance Pillow Talk. Okay, and then 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days. These are the top shows.
Pre-90 Day Fiance.
So a lot of 90 Day Fiancés and a lot of fat people. So a couple of midgets, some Amish, and
a bunch of kids.
Yeah, lots of people.
Oh, speaking of feet, have you ever guys seen the videos of the Hoof Doctor on
King of the
YouTube?
Segways?
No, I don't want to see. Is that like the Pimple Popper Doctor?
There are some abscesses involved, but it's normally he's pulling like stones and nails and things out of like a cow's foot and stuff. But it's cool. Like he has this little thing, he shaves it down, but every now and then there's like a gloppy stuff that comes out.
Yeah, that's it's on right after Kathy's Cankles, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty fascinating, though. You see these, like you look and you're like, this huge thing comes out of this cow's foot. And then,
these are actually hooves.
Yeah, no, these are hooves.
Hooves, yeah.
I thought it was like people who just have really nasty feet.
No, actual cows.
I want to hear the opening theme song to Kathy's Cankles.
It's Kathy's Cankles.
Wasn't that
there's one and there's the other?
Wasn't that Bill Clinton's fetish on The Simpsons?
Yeah, well,
I think that was an episode he was
Kathy's
on.
Kangles.
I can't tell where the calf ends and the ankle begins.
Stop! No offense to those with cankles, but
no offense, please, not at all. But
no, we're not cankle shaming.
Not at all. Not at all.
Kathy's Cankles. Kathy's Cankles coming to TLC next year.
There you go.
Right after my Amish wedding.
All right.
And the Hoof Doctor.
And the Hoof Doctor. All right. Well,
and the Pimple Popper.
Certainly on that note.
19 and counting. My aching uterus.
Yeah, that's the name of the show. My aching uterus. Absolutely.
So they tried to get rid of the Duggars, but they didn't have anything that was as popular to replace them. So
no, you can't.
Bring them back.
You can't. Well, remember when 8 is enough was controversial?
Or how about what's the other couple?
I don't know.
What was that show where they had adopted all those kids or whatever?
I don't know.
They ended up breaking up.
I can't watch. They just
On that note, we will wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you who think I'm totally sorry.
Way better.
Yes, this is very true. Anyway.
Bye, everybody.